Hello, and welcome to another SkaredCast Tactical Corner. We discuss the game where the Drukhari face off against the Cult Mechanicus and the Catachan Astra Militarum on Delta 7. Or is it 8? Hello, and welcome to another Tactical Corner here on SkaredCast. So this game sees a elite force of Cult Mechanicus and Imperial Guard, or Astra Militarum Catachan. Now, looking at the Catachan army, the biggest strength here was definitely all the armor that they had in the forms of walkers, with las cannons and autocannons, and the Onager Doom Crawler, as well as a large unit of Ogrins with Psyker support. Now, this army is no joke. Very tough, very quick, very resilient, and incredibly good firepower. So, even though it looks like an elite army, those Sentinels were probably the thing that was worrying me the most in this game. And I knew that I was going to have to deal with the Sentinels, that tactically I had to deal with them. My army was a hodgepodge of different models: Cabalite Warriors, Witches, Trueborn, Mandrakes, the Beast, and the Hellions. Now, my secret sauce were the Hellions. I gave them +1 strength, so they would be, was it +1 toughness? I gave them combat drugs to help deal with the Sentinels. And my Witches, I knew they had to deal with the Ogrins, so I had given them +1 strength as well. The Mandrakes were going to come pivotal later in the game, while the Trueborn, well, they had the blasters, so they had to survive to take out the Sentinels. So initially, my opponent stole the initiative. Stealing the initiative allowed my opponent to knock out my Witch's movement in terms of the Raider. That was a fantastic first turn shooting. But in my second turn, I daringly gambled, and I essentially ran everything up and charged, and I made some really long charges. But I charged with the Hellions. I also charged with the Witches up on the left flank to tie up those Ogrin. And in the middle, I charged with the Chimera and the Beast Pack in order to tie in the Onager and the other Sentinels. Now, I wasn't expecting to win these combats, but I knew that I needed to bog down his armor in combat to prevent his superior firepower from just knocking out small parts of my army. Now, this was rather effective, and throughout the game, my assault units did do well, especially the Witches on the right flank that held up the Ogrins for essentially the entire game, and also eventually drew his Warlord onto that flank, and he ended up dying. It wasn't until the Sentinel and the Primaris Psychic came around that flank that I lost the Witches. Nevertheless, this had allowed my Hellions to essentially take over the other flank uncontested, the right flank, and that meant that I was able to essentially solidify and protect the objective that was nearby my deployment zone, which was the 4-point scouring objective that my Cabalite Warriors were, very conveniently placed on. All in all, the biggest thing here was just to negate my opponent's overwhelming firepower with assault. That was like the main game plan. Now, of course, with Maelstrom of War, you never, with Scouring, you had a good objective and a bad objective, and to be honest, it was just a lot of fun. Like, I had a lot of fun playing against a varied army. Now, some key tricky stuff did come into play later in the game, with my Mandrakes essentially coming in and really helping at the end of the game to take, or to assist with the last little bit of gameplay and objective taking at the end. I was able to kill that one Sentinel that was down by my home objective, and the men of the match, or the women of the match, were definitely the Witches. That Impaler and Shardnet, I really like the upgrade because it's damage too, but I feel it would be better suited on Blood Brides, so there's more attacks as well. But to be honest, if you want a 2 damage weapon, you might as well just go for the Hellion Hellglaives. all in all, I want to thank my opponent for having a fantastic game with me. Please, let me know how you like this tactical format. Leave a comment in the comment section and let me know what you liked, what you didn't like, and if you'd like me to touch on anything specific. You know, I much prefer varied lists, and those are more enjoyable to play with, and I feel to play against, than just spam armies, even though you can really build competitive and strong lists that have a lot of variety. So I really do hope you enjoyed it. Now I want to give a big shout out to the latest patrons who've supported the channel. You guys are fantastic, and I really appreciate your support. If you'd like to check out things like the Facebook page, as well as the live feed that we do every Sunday night, please check the links down below in the description, where you'll be able to get all the relevant information to be a part of the SkaredCast community. Battle reports are on Mondays, and Tactical Corners are on Thursdays. If you have any other comments, questions, and suggestions, leave them down below. And this is Skari, your grateful host, signing off until next week. Skari, out.